I only bet 10.
But you won.
What did I say? What did I tell you? It's a short thing.
Oh, you talk about this crap like it's science, Tony.
I lost a lot of fucking money.
You didn't lose.
We could have turned your bullshit into a fucking $1 million.
My bullshit? That spec house was my investment. For my future.
Here we go.
Jenny Sack had to move in with her fucking daughter, Tony.
Again with Jenny Sack, huh? John provided. She's a fucking hysteric.
Everyone loves Tony Soprano, but here's the ugly truth. HBO doesn't want you to admit Chasing It isn't just a dark episode. It's David Chase's way of slamming the door on Tony's hero status once and for all. And trust me, it's brutal. Welcome to Sopranos Breakdown. I'm Matthew, and joining me today is Matthew. Together, we'll break down the world of Tony, Carmela, and the rest of the crew, uncovering hidden details and diving into the deeper meanings of every episode. Let's get started. Chasing It is the darkest, most soul-crushing episode of the entire series, the moment Tony officially seals his damnation. In just one episode, he manages to destroy his relationship with Hesh right after Hesh's wife dies suddenly, showing zero sensitivity or support. Send Vito Jr., a deeply troubled kid, to a violent teen reform camp instead of getting him the real help he needs. Sour his relationship with Carmela by antagonizing her relentlessly about the spec house money, treating her like a business transaction. And to top it all off, he berates Carlo for not sucking cock to earn his keep like Vito. A cruel jab that likely pushed Carlo toward flipping later. All because Tony is a selfish, impulsive gambler who ruins everyone's lives. But hey, he survived a shooting. So long-term, he's winning, right? This episode is where Tony truly earns his fate at Holston's. Whatever actually happened there remains a mystery, but this is the moment his downfall becomes undeniable. The episode delivers a relentless barrage of nasty behavior from Tony, exposing the ugly side of the man many struggle to accept as the protagonist. His attempt to pursue Adriana, knowing it would devastate Christopher, is particularly disgusting. It's clear he never seriously considered starting anything with her. He was just a selfish predator playing with people's lives. Then there's his sudden return to therapy, claiming he can imagine a new life, which feels like a hollow joke given his ongoing destructive behavior. The way Tony flips on Carmela over the spec house money, insults Carlo, and ignores Bobby during a crisis, shows him as an alpha male who rules by fear and selfishness, not respect. This episode is a deliberate statement. Tony is not a complex anti-hero, he's just a bad man. The show pulls no punches in reminding viewers that he's morally bankrupt and no better than the people he has killed. Even small, darkly comedic moments, like Vito Jr. defecating in the shower to assert dominance, highlight the grim tone. Tony's actions throughout the episode reflect a man who's compromised everything for his own desires, gambling away money meant for others and treating everyone around him like disposable pawns. The confrontation with Carmela stands out as one of the most brutal, raw verbal fights in the series, far more visceral than even the famous Whitecaps episode. Overall, Chasing It marks Tony's transition from flawed protagonist to outright villain, forcing the audience to confront the truth about who he really is. What if I told you one of the most hilarious mob jokes in The Sopranos actually reveals the brutal truth about loyalty, or the complete lack of it? Paulie's cruel insult about Christopher's baby isn't just bad taste. It exposes the dark, twisted reality beneath all that family talk. And Tony? He laughs like it's no big deal, even though he'd kill over less. Here's why this scene perfectly sums up the moral collapse of the whole crew. Paulie's joke about Christopher's infant daughter becoming a stripper was at least 10 times worse than Ralph's crude comment about Ginny Sack. Even among ordinary civilians, those are fighting words, let alone in the mob. Yet while Tony nearly killed a guy over a vulgar insult to his adult daughter, he laughs wholeheartedly at an insult aimed at an infant's supposed future as a sex worker. That's some serious double standard. The scene is great because the slow motion shot of everyone laughing, especially Tony, is genuinely eerie. It underlines how little these people actually care about or love each other. It's a collection of sick individuals using one another for their own gain. Christopher was especially vulnerable in that room, and the man who made the joke outranked him. With Tony's relationship with Christopher at an all-time low, no one defended him. Interestingly, no one at the party seemed offended by the mole joke until Paulie was contacted later. This underscores the lack of true loyalty. No one really cares. Throughout the series, the men repeatedly betray each other for money or power. Tony never learned from past mistakes. He just finds more reasons to throw pity parties after pressure to share mob stories. Paulie, while a hilarious character, was arguably the biggest piece of garbage among them, worse than Ralph. Ralph had a twisted sense of honor and killed Minnie to get back in Tony's good graces. Paulie was just a total psychopath without respect for anyone but himself. He had some respect for Tony and Silvio, but his ambition and betrayal showed his true colors. Johnny Sack even hinted Tony could be whacked over the HUD scandal, and Paulie stayed silent, positioning himself for a potential rise. He's a wormy opportunist. Many viewers find themselves wanting Paulie gone, but he lingers, always causing trouble. If Paulie had made that stripper joke about Meadow instead of Christopher's daughter, there would have been serious consequences. Christopher, still considered a low-ranking made man, despite being a captain, was powerless. He was drunk and emotionally broken, unable to respond. The insult was egregious. No one jokes about someone's daughter like that, especially in their presence. Christopher constantly complained about Tony, but simultaneously craved his approval, despite hating him. The truth is, Tony demanded respect, but gave none in return. Christopher had every reason to resent Tony, who saw him as a liability. Tony's decision to make Christopher a made man was questionable from the start, given his temper and past mistakes. He should never have been promoted, especially considering his reckless behavior, including exposing Meadow and Hunter to drugs. The show's imagery in these scenes, like Tony surrounded by red rocks in Las Vegas or the devil on the slot machine, symbolizes his moral collapse and descent into nihilism. Where Tony once believed the violence was justified by loyalty and family, that illusion is shattered by the later seasons. Ultimately, Paulie's character stands out as the embodiment of the mob's moral decay. His jokes, betrayals, and selfishness make him one of the most despicable characters in the series, highlighting just how far from genuine loyalty this world really is. Everyone thinks killing a made guy is a death sentence, but what if the real betrayal is doing nothing at all? The truth about Silvio's silence will shock you. Why didn't Sil pull the plug on Tony after Ralph disappeared? If Tony really did it, and let's be honest, he probably did, then Sil would have been the guy to take action, right? Ralph was a piece of shit, no doubt. I wouldn't piss on him if he were on fire, but whacking a made guy over a horse. What's next? Getting clipped for wearing the wrong shoes? We're talking centuries of tradition here. What happened to that? So why did Sil do nothing? Was he too afraid of Tony? Or just unwilling to jump into the unknown without certainty? Because they knew. Maybe not 100%, but close. Everyone knew there was bad blood between Tony and Ralph. They probably suspected what happened, but without solid proof, there was no case. And Tony? He could spin it as a New York hit and had Johnny Sack backing him. Johnny already wanted Ralph gone for disrespecting Ginny. Besides, these guys break more rules than the Vatican. The only one who ever stuck strictly to tradition was Phil, and he paid dearly for it. And 20 years in the can, that changes a man. Phil was a mess. Sil suspected, but he didn't know. Without certainty, you don't move against the boss. You don't whack Tony unless you have the full support of other families, a solid plan, and a death wish. Sil knew what would happen if he took Tony out. Civil war, chaos, instability. And for what? Ralph? Nobody liked Ralph. Sure, he made money, but he was a brutal asshole. Beat a woman to death, disrespected the Bing, couldn't even behave at meetings. Sil didn't want to be boss. He was content as consigliere, staying behind the scenes, advising Tony. Taking over would have thrown him into the spotlight, with all the dangers that come with it. The whole crew was unstable. Chrissy was unreliable, Paulie was unpredictable, Vito was closeted, Bobby was weak, no clear replacement for Tony. Even if there were proof, say, a video of Tony killing Ralph, they might still not act. Tony was their leader, their stability. Ralph wasn't worth risking a war over. They knew, but they didn't know. They hoped Ralph might still show up, if. This is a world where people survive by being unsure enough not to act. It's not about justice, it's about survival. Ralph disappeared. They all understood what that meant, but no one wanted to be the one to start a war. Everyone loves to mock Artie Bucco, but what if I told you he's actually the saddest, most tragic figure in The Sopranos? Here's the ugly truth behind his 3 biggest screw-ups, and why his story hits harder than you think. You ever just realize how badly Artie Bucco fumbled the bag? Not once, not twice, but 3 times, trying to hook up with his own hostesses. It's like watching a man throw himself off the same cliff over and over, hoping the ground will eventually move. Strike 1. Adriana. Artie slaps on a tragic little earring, thinking it makes him look young and hip, like some midlife crisis peacock. He makes a move over dinner, and Adriana excuses herself to the bathroom and bolts out the back door like she's escaping a hostage situation. Iconic. Strike 2. Elodie. Artie gets hot for her and ends up introduced to her con artist brother, Jean-Philippe. Naturally, this leads to Artie investing $50,000 into a vodka scam, losing it all, nearly offing himself in the process and ending up in debt to Tony. Genius move, truly. Strike 3. Martina. She flirts with Artie just enough to speed up her citizenship process. But the second he realizes she's actually sleeping with Benny, he pulls back. How does she return the favor? By helping Benny commit credit card fraud at Vesuvio. And Artie's grand reward, a 3rd-degree burn to the hand, courtesy of Benny the grill master. All that chasing coups, and he ends up grilled like a lamb chop. And yes, Charmaine, rude as she may be, is a grade A piece of ass, and somehow still put up with him through all this nonsense. Arthur had filet mignon at home, but kept going out for gas station sushi. One of the most underrated moments, Artie at the Crazy Horse opening, desperately trying to dance with 20-year-olds like it's spring break, midlife crisis edition. Cringe? Absolutely. But also, hilarious. His one real W. Beating the hell out of Benny after all the humiliation. Finally, the rabbit-eating, wine-sniffing chef grew a pair. Of course, Benny got him back with a kitchen beatdown, but for a brief moment, Artie stood tall, shadowboxing in the mirror like Rocky Balboa after 1 round. Charmaine? She deserved better. She was loyal, smart, had patience for days, and still managed to look stunning through it all. She knew he was a stun ad and tried in vain to keep him from acting like one. You almost feel bad for her, except, well, she stuck around. The real tragedy of Artie isn't just that he's a screw-up. It's that he's a screw-up who thinks he's the hero in his own noir. He's not Tony. He's not even Christopher. He's the guy who lets another man dip his hand in the marinara and just stands there like a neutered poodle. He had 3 chances with women out of his league and blew every one of them. Maybe if he had a Casey Kasem hairpiece, things would have been different. But no, he chose the earring. He chose humiliation. He chose stun ad life. Arthur Bucco, sad clown, failed gangster, rabbit connoisseur. We salute you for all the laughs, the losses, and for being the only guy who could screw up even with all the odds in his favor. Here's what the Sopranos never told you about Meadow and Finn's breakup, and why it might be the biggest mystery the show quietly swept under the rug. They built so much tension, yet never gave us a real explanation. And it's not just them. AJ and Devon vanished without a trace too. Why did these key relationships just disappear? Let's dig into the untold story behind the silent breakups everyone missed. Whatever happened to Finn and Meadow? It's genuinely surprising how The Sopranos, a show famous for layering meaning into every detail, completely skips over the reasons behind Meadow's breakup with Finn. David Chase is a genius, but really not even a hint about why they ended things. And the same goes for AJ and Devon. They were a thing, then suddenly not, with no explanation. She disappears to college while AJ is left at parties, and viewers are just supposed to accept it and move on. Finn got himself a sandwich, a soda, a towel, and yes, a suitcase. That suitcase, which somehow became the symbol of his departure. But anyone paying attention knows there was no abundant intentionality in him getting out the suitcase. Wasn't their last interaction basically their breakup? That quiet confrontation where Finn calls Meadow out on her moral rationalizing and she essentially admits the situation can't continue? It's subtle. But when Tony later asks about Finn and Meadow shuts it down with a cold, "We're not discussing Finn," it suggests something significant happened? Cheating? A major clash over careers? The fallout from Vito's death? Possibly all of those. Finn looked uncomfortable from the start around the Soprano family and their business. Meadow, on the other hand, stubbornly defended her father's lifestyle. The conflict was clear, even if not spelled out. No surprise they drifted apart. Finn didn't make a scene. He packed a suitcase and quietly left. Like Julius Caesar, if he stopped by Satriale's for a sandwich and then disappeared. Also notable, Tony speaking to Finn like a child. "Sandwich, hurry the fuck up," was an awkward moment that perfectly captured Finn's discomfort. The slow unraveling of their relationship happened mostly off-screen, which is frustrating given its significance. Meanwhile, AJ and Devon's relationship ended without much explanation. Devon, a wealthy girl with little depth to her character, vanished without addressing the breakup. She never challenged AJ, even when he played cruel pranks. Their split likely happened because they grew apart, especially as she prepared for college and he remained behind. No big drama, just typical teenage drifting. It's easy to speculate. Finn moved back to California to escape Meadow's denial and moral conflict. Devon probably left AJ for her own reasons. The writers may have trusted the audience to read between the lines. Still, it would have been compelling to see one real confrontation between Finn and Meadow, a dramatic fight showing the cracks in their relationship. Instead, we got the suitcase. Always the suitcase. No abundant intentionality, just the quiet end of a relationship. Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.